series. And it's going to be Xixo's Hunter versus Iner's Shaman. And we're seeing a thing from below in Iner's hand straight away, which indicates it's probably not one of the most aggressive decks. Although sometimes Thing from Below is being run in aggro Shaman, it's difficult to justify running that card in a deck that runs Finley, because the amount of totems you can summon tends to be a lot less. Xixo's hand definitely indicating that he is running a very similar deck to that of his teammate. This is looking like a face hunter. Just like Hoy ran. And Hoy was, unfortunately, he was very, very close to winning. I think he was 2 off lethal. One more hero power would have done it, but SilverName was able to pick up the damage quickly enough to steal the win. But maybe against Shaman, Xixo is going to have a little bit more luck here. And straight away, we are seeing Xixo going for the face as much as he possibly can. As I said earlier, the most common face decks right now seem to be Shaman and Warrior. But Hunter was there first, and Xixo and Hoy are here to show that face is still the place when you're playing Hunter. Xixo, of course, is infamous for being one of the most aggressive players in the game. So it's no real surprise that he comes to this tournament playing a face deck. Looks like we're going to see Horse Rider trading into the Tuskar Totemic there, which is definitely not ideal. It was necessary, because otherwise that was an extra 5 damage that Xixo was going to be taking, meaning he would have had to start playing far more defensively. But really, Xixo does want to be pushing damage to the face already, even at this early stage. That Thing from Below is going to be coming down very soon. Probably not next turn, but could easily... Well, it could come down next turn. If Iner decided to go ahead and play Flame Tongue Totem now, then he would actually have the mana to play Thing from Below next turn. Tunnel Trog would be a very good card to play alongside the Flame Tongue Totem, filling out his curve, not overloading himself, allowing for Thing from Below next turn. But it's up to Iner to decide if he actually needs that taunt next turn. And it looks like he's decided he does not need that taunt. He wants to be as aggressive as possible. As of course, Totem Gola creates overload, meaning that he cannot play the Thing from Below next turn. Xixo is unfortunately being forced to trade again, leaving his Wolf Rider on the board, which is very positive, but that's 3 more damage that didn't hit the face, and Xixo is really going to start to... It's turn 5, and his opponent's hero still has 26 health, so Xixo is definitely going to start to feel the pressure and feel the need to start mowing Iner down. Iner's now in kind of an awkward position here. He definitely needs to clear the board. Mana-wise, he can play Totem Golem plus Abusive Sergeant, or Flame Tongue Totem plus Abusive Sergeant. Either way, he can play Thing from Below next turn. He just has to weigh up how much damage he wants to put into the face, compared to how much damage he wants to put into his opponent's minions. Not an ideal juggle from the fiery bat there from Xixo. He'd have liked to have killed the Trog there. Now it looks like he's going to have to put another minion into it. Whether that's Argent Horse Rider. Well, that looks like it's the only minion that he can use to trade with a Trog efficiently. And once again, the Face Hunter is having to spend, it looks like, his entire turn trading. Iner picks up a Rockbiter weapon, which is strong with Doomhammer, of course a card that he doesn't have in his hand yet. But toteming up and then playing a Thing from Below seems very strong also. He might even decide to play Flame Tongue Totem instead. Meaning that Thing from Below would essentially be free next turn, but no, he decides to drop the Thing from Below for two mana. 2 mana 5/5 with Taunt, not exactly the favourite thing for a hunter to see, but Xixo is able to dispatch it easily. Of course, the problem with that kill command is that it is hitting a minion for 5 damage, and it could have been hitting the face for 5 damage, but it's not doing that. So now Xixo is in a desperate position similar to that the Hoi was in, where he really needs to draw into and unleash the Hounds or an Explosive Trap. Those 2 cards seem to be very, very, very strong in Face Hunter. That being said, he's been able to efficiently clear most of Iner's board and leave himself with a minion. That being said, that Flame Tongue Totem is not going to make Xixo's life any easier, as Iner will actually be able to trade the Healing Totem into Wolf Rider, trading his card that cost him nothing to summon, basically, for a 3 mana minion. Xixo's going to need to start drawing his really influential cards here. He needs to draw into Explosive Trap. He needs to draw into Unleash the Hounds. He needs to draw into Quick Shot for an extra draw and an extra 3 damage. Iner's still sitting there trying to consider how he spends his mana. Does he use the Rockbiter weapon? Does he use Flame Tongue Totem to trade Healing Totem in and then Abusive Sergeant for 2 extra damage to the face? Looks like he's actually going to play Rockbiter weapon now. That is a very risky move from Iner, being willing to take 3 damage against a Face Hunter. But I suppose he's decided that he's going to save that Flame Tongue Totem and save that Healing Totem for extra methods to control the board. And looking at what Xixo has now, that is not a Huffer, nor is it a Misha, so it's completely irrelevant. And Iner is really going to be able to start pushing the damage here, and that is a 4 mana 7/7 minion. I wouldn't even be surprised if Xixo decides to end the game as soon as that comes down. And here it is. That is, if I can count correctly, that makes Iner 1 damage off lethal next turn with the Abusive Sergeant in his hand. I put that, I'm adding that up at 16 damage right now to Xixo's 17 health. Xixo, oh, there we go. I was about to say Xixo is going to need to start really drawing some good cards off the top, but that Doomhammer does spell the end of the game. Xixo is going to concede, and Iner... as we have a Shaman mirror match. I'm going to be completely honest, it's the Druid deck I'm looking forward to from Xixo. If it is the same one that Hoi is running, then that's going to make for a very interesting game. And what makes this an even more interesting Shaman mirror match is that both players have Tunnel Trog and Totem Golem in their hand. The person with the more difficult decisions to make now, though, is Iner. He has to decide if he wants to start off by coining out Totem Golem or by playing Tunnel Trog. Both plays are punishable. But this one's slightly less so, whereas a Lightning Bolt or Rockbiter weapon would have just dealt with Tunnel Trog, leaving Xixo very much ahead. Totem Golem is not possible for Xixo to deal with right now, and it means that it has actually survived a turn, but Iner does now only have 1 mana. The only card he can play is Tunnel Trog, meaning that Xixo is able to make some efficient moves here. He's just going to play his Totem, and now he has to decide whether he wants to finish off that Totem Golem or kill the Tunnel Trog, which could, of course, end up being much bigger than the Totem Golem. Xixo taking a lot of time to consider the outcomes here. If he kills the Tunnel Trog, it leaves his own Tunnel Trog at 3 health, which would die to his... Sorry, it leaves his own Totem Golem at 3 health, which would die to his opponent's Totem Golem, but obviously Iner has to get past the Taunt Totem first. But then, what if Iner wanted to play Lightning Storm now, which would potentially put him ahead? It actually turns out Iner is going to go ahead and play Tuskar Totemic, and... shockingly, not what Xixo wanted to see, the Tuskar Totemic does get a Totem Golem. So Xixo is going to have to just ignore it, pretend that didn't happen, shake off the salt that he's inevitably feeling right now, and play the Flame Wreath Faceless. Which Iner can deal with, but only by trading in, well, okay, 1 minion with 2 Flame Tongue Totems, but it does put him... Oh, okay, quickest series of Hearthstones that we've seen. And looking at this opening hand, we've got Barnes, we've got Ysera. This is very telling that this is a deck that is very similar to the deck that Hoy was running earlier. And if I remember correctly, we have not yet seen a single card from the Menagerie, the most recent wing of Karazhan, being played today. Maybe it's because it's too soon and the players haven't yet been able to experiment with the cards. They want to play whatever is going to win them the games ultimately. So rather than testing cards that could be good or could be bad, they're going to stick with what they know, which in Xixo and Hoy's case is a very heavy Druid deck. This time Xixo able to deal with the Trog without overloading himself. He actually has a lot of interesting plays now. He could coin out Barn if he wants Barnes or Fandral if he wants to go for board control next turn. Or he could coin out My Keeper if he wants to go for ramp, which wouldn't surprise me given how top heavy this deck is. And Iner didn't really have much of a choice there. He could have played Flame Tongue Totem, which would have probably just been a waste. But instead he just plays his Taunt Totem, which is very helpful actually. Taunt is probably the one he was hoping for in this position. My Keeper is no good for Xixo whatsoever. I'm sure he was hoping for a Ragnaros or something that did something right now. And of course My Keeper is not that card. Now, Iner is able to clear this board quite easily with the Flame Tongue Totem, and it looks like that's what he's going to do. Playing a random totem first, a Flame Tongue Totem goes in between the other 2 totems he has, and then clears everything, leaving his minions alive. But he might decide he actually wants to play around Swipe, in which case he could Lightning Bolt Barnes, killing it in 1 hit there, and put the Totem Golem into the My Keeper. That would be slightly safer against the Swipe, although that would overload himself, preventing him from playing the Doomhammer next turn. Instead, he's going to go Maelstrom Portal, which is also a very strong play. It does mean he has to trade Totem Golem, or go face with Totem. Okay, he goes face with Totem Golem. Swipe is still very, very strong for Xixo right now, but he doesn't have it, so that is a stroke of luck for Iner there. He has a very powerful board. He's not overloaded, so he can Doomsayer next turn. Xixo doesn't quite have enough mana yet where he can put out his real threats. If he can be fast and aggressive, he could win this quite quickly. And it looks like Flame Wreath Faces has come down, probably a Lightning Bolt as well. to allow for a very easy board clear from Iner. It also means Tunnel Trog is going to have 4 attack, which is really strong. Xixo needs to come back, and come back very fast. And instead, he is gonna drop the conceit.